Well, hello everyone. Welcome back. I am excited for this episode because today I'm getting to reflect with you about this last year since leaving corporate. And to be completely honest, I feel like I have been sitting in this reflection for a week plus and had to go back through all the journaling and all of my notes to get clear and kind of get a better understanding on what all has happened this last year. And it's been funny because some people are like, it's only been a year since you left corporate. And I'm like, yes, it's only been a year. And it feels like it's only been a year. And it feels like, oh my gosh, it's been a year. So I'm excited to dive in with you guys today. And you'll see some things or hear some things, really, if you are not watching on YouTube. But you'll realize one, there was no intro. I love my intro. I am obsessed with everything that I've been doing with the podcast. And I feel like I have seen this from so many people. And you'll understand at the end of this episode that there's a lot happening right now and a lot of realizations and a lot of changes, I think, happening. And I thought I was going through that December and January and had it figured out and had this whole plan. And let's just say the universe was not finished yet. And I don't think it still is. There's just so much coming and so much happening. And I am ready to just be with it all. And I've really just been with it all the last few months. I have been quieter on social media. I have really dove into my community here in Boone, North Carolina, where I live. And I just have really soaked it all in a way that I haven't been able to because I was traveling constantly all of last year, really until about October. And I've really tried to be closer with my husband. So I really want to sit in this episode with you today and just start off with saying it's okay. Everything is going to be fine. If you are questioning, if you are second guessing, if you are scared, have fear, there is a lot of unknown that's coming up for you. I see you, I feel you, and you are not alone and all of that. And I have had to learn that I am not alone and I don't have to go through it alone when I have incredible people around me. And I challenge you to find the people where you can feel safe, be yourself, and really share that with others. So, what we're going to dive into is kind of like a few different sections. I first want to just share a little high level with you what this last year entailed. And if you've been along the journey and been listening to the podcast, you've heard many of these things. So these are just like reminders of what happened this last year on the milestone and event level. And then I'm going to dive into the three really big lessons that I learned and kind of get to dive into each of those and how they've really impacted me over the last year. And then I'm going to close out with kind of sharing you what's next. And it's a little scary. And even just sitting here thinking about it, I get a little teary eyed of some of the big changes that have been happening. So if you're ready, I am ready to dive in. So this last year, so March 31st, if you haven't been around and you're newer and listening in, March 31st of 2024, I left the corporate world. I finished out a huge event that was part of the company I was working with, and then I went straight out to Oregon. Never had been before, and I visited Megan Mercer. If you know her, she's incredible. She is an energy worker is what I'm just going to say because it's breath work, but it's so much more than that. And we immersed ourselves into nature, and she really just held me and supported me at the beginning of this transition, leaving corporate, leaving the busy to do and going into entrepreneurship full time. And following that, I went straight to Europe and I traveled with my mom to see my sister who lives over there. We were gone for a week, and when we got back within I think it's 2 or 3 days, it wasn't long, we packed up and moved from Nashville, Tennessee back to the mountains of North Carolina. So we hadn't lived here per se, but our hometown where my husband and I both grew up is an hour down the road. And in the midst of everything that had been going on, my grandfather had gone from 0 to, I don't even say 60, I say 100 plus. He has Parkinson's, and again, if you're on my social media, if you've been around, he had it for 15 years and he passed away in August of this last year. So we moved in April, and I say it was such divine timing because we made the decision to move. We made the decision to actually live in my grandparents' house that's up here in the mountains. They don't live in it. They've barely actually even lived in it in the past, but it's here and needed love. So we moved into it. But we made that decision before any of that happened with my grandfather going 0 to 100. We didn't know what was going to be happening, but we just knew a blend of financially, we just needed to be very intentional, be smart about where we were living, and then also just why not? It's the mountains of North Carolina. We're like, it's temporary. It is what it is. Well, as I mentioned, he went 0 to 60, 0 to 100. And during this time is when I was still traveling. I was attending events through the months of May and June. I went to Powerhouse in August. And then he actually passed, I think it was 2 or 3 days after Powerhouse Women in August of 2024. And what was supposed to have been like a longer trip, I ended up taking a red eye home and being there with him. And you're more than welcome to go back and listen to that episode, all about kind of what I experienced by making that decision and following, honestly, my intuition, my gut that told me, because my mom told me not to come home. But over the course of those first, I would say that April to August, so what is that, about 4 or 5 months, I was just kind of in this groove. I had my first coaching client. I was attending events. I had thoughts. I had ideas. And then all of a sudden, the passing of my grandfather happened, and I was dealing with relationships that I was questioning, really friendships, potential partnerships, all these things. And so for about a month, from mid-August to mid-September, there was a lot of just doubt and questioning. And then all of a sudden, I won a ticket to an event in September. If you remember, the weekend at the Pitch Club at all. And I attended this event. I attended actually another event while I was there, and I coordinated a wedding all within like a 10-day span. It was a lot. And I got all this clarity. And that is when the event host community that had been on my heart for so long started to basically be birthed and created. So I did that very fast for 5 weeks. The event host community launched at the beginning of November. We opened our doors in December as a soft launch, and it's kind of been going since then, just in flow. I've taken on coordinating clients. I did not really travel much after September, and I really got to be present here in Boone. I've got to attend in-person events here, networking. I have a very, very dear friend now that I had met almost a year ago, but like we didn't talk much with all my traveling and get to do things, and now we do. And then in these last, I'm gonna say 8 to 10 weeks at this point, because it really was at beginning mid-February of 2025 to now we're sitting in April of 2025. I had been opened up to, and my eyes were just opened to the constant busy I was creating for myself and questioning, did I really create the thing that I wanted to be doing right now? And financially, February is the first month that we were good. And like I had a steady income, and even my husband did since moving back in April the year before. We just hadn't had this. And then all of a sudden I sat back and I went, I'm just filling my time with things I'm not enjoying, with social media, with this nitty gritty details of stuff that don't light me up the same way. How can I, how is always the question I go, how can I change this? How can I do something different? And what I learned and what I really focused on, and I shared this in the last kind of catch up recap episode, was creating space and being really present with where I'm at. And so that's kind of what I've been doing. And I'm excited to share today what's like next for me. So that was a very long-winded, and I do apologize, very long-winded recording there of kind of this last year. But I really wanted to give you an idea, if you haven't been along for the journey, or if you have and you obviously don't remember, what kind of led up to these lessons that I'm going to share with you now. And this is going to be a little bit longer of an episode. I meant to warn you about that earlier, but it's okay. So let's dive into the lessons, because I feel like all of that sounds amazing. And then there's parts that sound stressful and frustrating and exciting. But there are 3 key things that I took away during this last year that have stuck with me, that are still with me. And the first one is, and I have a whole episode around this, and I've talked about this a lot, is that I learned that grieving is growing. When you grieve, you are growing. I also learned with the mix of that when there's grief, you can still feel other emotions. You don't have to be stuck feeling only sad or only happy. We can have mixed emotions at all times. But the biggest thing was that in grief, we are growing. And the reason I share this is, and again, go listen to the episode where I dived into it like in the moment. But my grandfather passed in August, within 2-3 days after Powerhouse Women. That also, the day after Powerhouse, I had someone very close to me come say things to me and question me where I thought she was so supportive. But the biggest thing she did is she put into my face, I don't take you seriously and I don't know who would. That was targeting right at the doubt I already was feeling. I was like, I am too young. I am not experienced enough. I am X, Y, and Z. I had been feeling and already starting to doubt and second guess everything. And then her saying that was like a slap in the face of, oh, look, somebody actually thinks that about me. That's what I've been scared of. That has been my fear holding me back. And I had to work through over the course of, I think it was months, 2-3+ months, understanding that I was first grieving my grandfather because that was an instant loss and that I hadn't felt in years, but then not getting to fully process and it taking a long time for me to process that some relationships were not meant for me to keep going with. Some were just for seasons. And I was having to learn to let go. But in that letting go, in that not talking to them anymore, in that not responding, because it was just taking so much of my time and energy that I didn't have and I needed to spend in other areas. I needed to set that boundary. I needed to create that space for myself to be able to show up for the people I love and care about and who are making a difference and who are also giving to me, and I can also give to them. But it was grieving those relationships. And it was hard. I felt like I was letting people down. I felt like I could have been frustrating or making them upset or doing something I shouldn't have been doing. And I had to, and I still have to, because I'm not in the moment, but I was just currently grieving another few relationships that I was having to let go. I had to really step up and allow myself to cry and allow myself to have the emotions, but while also still being excited about the things I was creating. And then lastly, and honestly, probably if you're listening to this podcast and you've been around, you have probably felt this as well many times, even if you didn't know it, is grieving your identity, your old identity, grieving an old piece of you or an old belief, an old thought. And I was not ready for that. And I thought, honestly, I had grieved my identity and I had changed because I left corporate and that was a whole thing I had to let go of. And I still was bringing some of those habits of staying busy and productive and high achieving into entrepreneurship that I've slowly been having to break. But I was like, it's fine. I'm the new person. I'm a new me. And I've stepped into this awareness and into entrepreneurship and into the events world and into this incredible group of women and even men. Oh my gosh. These last few months, though, I have been grieving more and more and more pieces of me that I have to leave behind. And I'll continue to share more about this later on. But it has been the hardest because it is those deeper beliefs and those deeper identities that I have been tied to for so long and that I've really been known for that I'm having to break. And it's not been easy. Not been easy at all. So, lesson number 1, when you are grieving, just know you are also growing. Number 2 for my lessons is actually, I don't even know if I want to call it full lesson because it was my financial struggles. But I think in the financial struggles is where I learned some many lessons for myself. Because when I first left corporate, I've been good. Income has always been steady. My benefits have been great. I've never really had to worry about money. There's been moments, but I've always had savings and I've always had all these things. And leaving entrepreneurship, I was like, oh, we're fine. We got a buffer. I'm going to be making money within the next few months. Like, no big deal. Well, like I mentioned earlier, it really wasn't until February of this year that we had consistent income. And to be honest, and I've shared this already before, got into quite a bit of debt. And we are still paying that off, and we are still, you know, having to maybe not do and live the life I quite want to live. But it really, honestly, made me get intentional with my money. I did have moments where there was like this guilt and shame around how much money I'd spent and the debt that I had because I'd never been in debt before, never had credit card debt, nothing. And in this guilt and like shame around being in debt, I know so many people, other people had been. It was holding me back and making me so scared and so fearful, even though I'd gotten really good and I like wasn't traveling and saving money and I mean, not really saving money, but we weren't spending it and getting intentional where the money was going and where we were spending it and cutting back on all these things. I had to break habits. We reached out for help and I actually asked for help. And I finally, honestly, it's only been probably 4 to 6 weeks that I've released that guilt and shame around what I did. Because there were moments where I regretted the money I had invested in myself and into my business it was investments. It was getting me to the next level. It was helping support me in what I'm doing and what I'm creating in my business and in my life. And I knew it was all for a reason and it all has gotten me to where I am today. And in those moments and looking back, I was like, I could have saved that for this time, not knowing I was going to make money. I could have, spent it in a more smarter, better way. But the thing is that I guess the real lesson behind all of it is knowing that one, I have to be intentional with my money no matter what. And two, it's okay to take risk. It is completely okay. As long as you believe that you can get back from it. And as long as you can look back and not regret it because you knew you did it for a reason. When you look back and start regretting, that's the thing I've realized is that's when I know I made a rash decision. That's when I know I made a mistake. And then I look at that as failure and then I get disappointed in myself. And again, the shame, the guilt comes. But when I can look back and say, no, I did that for a reason and I learned a lesson from it, or I took this away and it benefited me, it benefited me in some way and has helped lay the foundation to get me to where I am today. And then honestly, like probably the biggest thing throughout all the financial struggles and being intentional has been the fact that I've been really present here in Boone. And that is where I found this incredible community, incredible group of entrepreneurs now I get to support. I get to also just be a part of, and we get to lean on one another. I have an incredible co-working space I now work at, and I really have gotten to be present and in nature because Boone is so special, and the land and the trees and just everything around here. So getting to put myself out in nature, literally as I'm recording this, I keep looking outside because it's just the beauty of the trees in springtime. And yes, it might be cold and it was snowing this morning, but still just so special. And I feel so grateful to have taken that leap a year ago to be in entrepreneurship and be able to move to this area. And now it took me 9 months, but to truly see the beauty and truly see the people and see the potential here. And there's more to share with you about that as well on the other things that have been happening here in Boone. But let me share with you my last lesson. And this one, I don't know how to word it. And I've already said it a few times, but the importance of presence and the importance of space. Because I have always been a planner. I want to know the how. I want to lay out everything. And I used to get myself so caught up in doing that I wasn't present with my family. I wasn't present with my friends. I wasn't present with my niece and now nephew. I couldn't be present with my own parents and sister, with myself. And so back in February, I mentioned this earlier, my really word of that month became space. And it was clearing out. Clear out what is not serving me right now, what is not good for me. And March, I moved into presence, and literally every day I would sit and not be on my phone, not be reaching for everything. I would truly be with whoever it was, or be with my work even sometimes. Boy, oh boy, when you can get present with your work, you are so much more productive, let me just tell you. but it has really benefited me and allowed me to really start regulating my nervous system again, to set healthy boundaries for my time and my energy. And honestly, what I'm really leaning into now more than anything is by being present, by creating this space, is not allowing myself to betray myself again. And that was so hard when I had the realization of how much I had been betraying who I am deep down inside. My personality, my expertise and genius, my love, my desires, my wants, my needs. I had really been honestly suppressing it and betraying it and pouring into and giving to so many other people because I struggle. I struggle receiving. I struggle asking for help and asking for support. And I know, though, I must do that and give myself the space to do that as well. And in that, I then can start to receive more. I then can start to see things in different ways and in turn allow myself to both give and receive. But it's been hard. And it's not as easy as what I say there either. And it might have been even a little confusing how I explained it. I hope not. But it truly is just being present with myself, being present with the people that are in front of me, even on the screen, even staring at myself right now and just being present with me, myself, and this mic. But then also giving myself the space and stop filling it with busy. And this kind of leads me into what's next for me. What is the vision? And to be honest, I am going to share some of this, but I also am going to hold some of this really close to my heart and sacred because there's a lot of beauty and magic and possibilities, opportunities that are coming my way that I never expected. And it has been through this presence, through creating this space, that I have been able to open myself up to what is out there. But I realized I still was keeping myself busy, even though I took a step back from events and I'm only focusing on the community and took a step back and it was only the podcast. I was filling that time with so much stuff that honestly did not light me up and did not matter. And there's a difference in like it not lighting me up, but I need to be doing it, but it not lighting me up and it not mattering. Because my goals, what I'm wanting to do now, are changing. I want to step into building community and being a leader in my community here in Boone. I am ready to co-create with an incredible individual I've met here in doing that, to build community, but also to build something so much bigger. I have the opportunity to co-create with another individual in an opportunity that has a magnitude I never would have expected. And I'm truly having to really hold true to myself and take care of me, take care of my nervous system, take care of my body. And I'll be honest, I have little pains all over right now, even just sitting here, because the magnitude of all of this, every time I have a conversation, is like, I feel it. I feel the excitement. I feel the energy. But there is that scariness and that fear as well of how big this could be. And I'm so sorry if you're listening and you're like, Catherine, I want to know what this big thing is. You'll find out one day, just not right now. But in this, that has made me realize I was keeping myself busy getting back on social media and posting about events, recording podcasts with other people about events, recording this about events. I freaking love events. I love it. It's why I do what I do. It's why I love all these things. But I have made the decision that, one, I've already shared this, but events is not just all me. And I love sharing my expertise. But right now, sharing it does, when I share it and talk about it and have that as like the sole focus of my conversations, I realize that I'm not showing up fully as me, that I'm hiding other parts. I'm hiding some of my story. I'm hiding some of what's currently going on right now. And that's not fair to you listening here, to you on another podcast, to anybody. And so I sit here because I am ready to shed this identity fully, going back to grieving. And what I've been grieving recently and really grieving still is that events are no longer going to be really a big thing for me. I'm still going to show up here on the podcast and we're going to leave it as is for now. And I'm not going to change the name again, honestly, because it's just not a priority. And hopefully this gives you some inspiration to do some things messy and to do some things not perfect. And I'm in the messy middle right now, but I have had this clarity. I've had the realization, and I'll share a little bit more about this in the upcoming next or 1 or 2 episodes. I don't know which one it will be, but really realizing that I love still attending events and I love sharing with people like what I know about it, but it's not what's lighting me up fully anymore. It's not what I want to share anymore. I have gone through so much this last year. I want to share my story. I want to keep showing up on here sharing that. I want to share more about the projects I'm doing, about the fractional work, about intuitive leadership. There's just so much more I want to be sharing with you all. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I'll pop in here with event stuff every once in a while. Like, don't worry, like that will come back. I'm definitely going to be sharing some event episodes. I have a whole series that I obviously launched last week, and I recorded all those episodes that will be coming, just not right now, because my priorities are elsewhere, and I have to create this space to step into what is coming. And I have to really be present with what is coming. So the community, the event host community, it's there, but it's definitely more passive for myself. The networking calls, do not worry. If you are a speaker, you're a vendor, you're an event host, I still love my networking calls. So once a month, I do those on the 4th Tuesday of every month. Please come join us. It's in the show notes, but I really am just doing that. And that's where I'm going to nurture, because there's some other fun things I see coming on that side, just not yet. I'm taking it slow. I'm taking it step by step, because that's what I need to do to make sure I can keep showing up fully as myself, that I can be taking care of myself. Boy, I decided I'm going to start 75 hard today, and it's a modified version. I'm not going full out, but I'm going to do the 75 days committed to certain eating habits, to a workout every day, a walk outside every day, reading my 10 pages, and then drinking enough water. Those are the things I'm committing to. And in doing that, I can show up in this new bigness that is coming and all the stuff. So thank you if you're still listening in. We are almost to the 30-minute mark. And again, I apologize for it being a little longer for a solo episode, but I wanted to show up as me, and as me that has been going through a lot, and sharing with you the reflection from this last year and how I've been sitting with that. And in those reflections is what has helped me get to these decisions, to truly take a full pause on events. Aside from, I do have an event later this month I am coordinating, but that will be really it. And to really take the space to share with you all what is going on, where I am at, and hopefully inspire you to understand that it's okay. Maybe you needed to hear you're not alone. Maybe you needed to hear that I'm in the messy middle. Maybe you need to hear that, grief is growing. You don't have to dwell in the grief. It's an okay thing. It can be a good thing. And then most importantly, knowing that when you look back on your last year, celebrate it. Celebrate the wins. Celebrate the things that you've done. Look at the lessons that you've learned and have taken with you, and know that where you are heading is amazing and beautiful. And just take those lessons with you. Take those accomplishments with you, and get really present. Create that space so that you can step in to whatever is next. Even if you're already in it, there's probably something bigger. There's another piece to it. And just get excited to step into it. So I am so grateful to all of you. I am not going to do an outro as well, because things are changing. But again, I am so grateful for you to be here. If you want to jump on our networking calls, I'm still doing those on the 4th Tuesday of every month. Keep listening in. I'm going to keep dropping episodes, probably one-ish a week, with some guest episodes that I've already done. And I am so excited to keep sharing with you all what is coming, what is happening, what is going on behind the scenes, because it's big. And I think if you're listening into this, and if you've been in my world for a while, big stuff has been happening. But there is something on a deeper rooted energetic level that is happening that I'm so excited for. So I am grateful to you for listening in. Thank you so much for listening to the end of the podcast, and I will see you all next time.